Today we are talking about picky eaters. And we are here with Alina, who is part of Orgali Holistic Nutrition. Did I say it right?
Yes.
Yes, awesome. We are Bali Moms on the Go. I am Robin. This is Sonia.
Hi.
And we're so excited!
Yeah. So Alina is a wonderful mom of 2 children, 7 years old and 10 years old. So she has her business, Orgali Foods. And then she offers a wonderful, nutritious, delicious food for families, including dairy-free, gluten-free, with special diets.
Yes, and the foods are also egg-free and processed sugar-free, and I try to make them as delicious and nutritious as possible.
Yeah, and I think you're also helping family with picky eaters, right?
I do, yes, yeah.
So
I
that's
have
a good
program
topic.
That's a good topic.
Yeah.
So nice. So,
okay, what types of food would you choose for a healthy lunch? Because I think that's a challenge for moms, right? And dads, whoever's packing the lunch, to figure out what's in there. And so what would you include?
Yeah, older children who can pack their own lunches. Yeah. I usually, when it comes to packing lunches, I have a few easy rules, and one of them is, as you ask, what are the foods? So the foods would be a fresh fruit, a fresh vegetable, a homemade dessert or snack if possible. And the fourth one would be a food that incorporates both protein and healthy fats.
Okay.
And
you have examples?
Yeah, so obviously
like
fresh fruit is obvious, would be a banana or an
Mm-hmm.
apple or grapes or strawberries. And when it comes to fresh vegetable, would be broccoli
Mm-hmm.
and cauliflower, celery, carrots.
Mm-hmm.
We try to pack fruits that are not getting mushy easily and that don't oxidize easily.
Yeah.
And when it comes to a snack, as I said, usually it's a homemade dessert or a cookie or let's say granola bars or bites or baked oatmeal.
Mm-hmm.
Anything like that I know for sure that my kids would like would go in the snack category.
And nut-free, right? I think that's getting easier to manage as well, the nut-free type snacks.
They have to be. They have to be
with
nut-free.
all the schools
Yeah,
now,
yeah. Except that my son goes to a school that is nut-free, and my daughter goes to a school that allows nuts.
Oh,
they do? Okay,
yeah,
that's
so
so
it's,
yeah. Not so many of
Don't
them.
mix up the
Not many.
lunches,
Yeah,
right?
exactly. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice.
And then I was also saying about a food that incorporates both protein and healthy fats. That usually is a leftover from our supper from the night before. Or
That's a good tip. Yeah.
also easy would be some meatballs or some sausages, high quality sausages, and just usually when I pack a lunch, it takes me less than 10 minutes to do it. For both
when
kids.
you have that in mind, I think.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. We sort of did that with our boys. My kids are teenagers, so they're older, 16 and 13, but they've been packing their own lunch since about grade 4 or 5. We started introducing the idea that they could do it, and then we, with guidance, allow them to pack their lunch after that.
Yeah.
And that's sort of what we did, is we just had rules. It has to have fruit, vegetable. It has to have, the sandwich or something with protein in it, and then the drink. Obviously, we do water or juice or something that's so we just gave a list of types of things, and then they could work within that list.
Exactly. And I have a list at home that is on our kitchen cupboard, and it has different foods for each category, and then they choose what they want to eat.
That's good. They involve.
Yeah.
So that's good.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you can make your own choices, and then the kids like, I don't want that. I don't want that.
Exactly. Yeah. It doesn't matter what I have in my mind when it comes to what they should be eating. What matters is what they want to eat.
And that kind of answers the second question that we had, is like, how do you do it? Like, how do you pack that lunch and make it time efficient? Because I think that's the biggest struggle, is that morning rush and going, I gotta pack the lunches, and so the planning.
So you have also specific container, or specific, like, how do you pack? Like, you all in the bag, or you wrap in the paper, or like to make the freshness, or like to keep the freshness? How do you do it?
When my son was in kindergarten, I bought a whole bunch of containers, and they are all stainless steel, including a thermos and a whole bunch of just round ones, plus a stainless steel water bottle, and that's what we have been using. And then when my daughter joined, I just bought the same containers, just more of them.
Nice.
Yeah, but I have a system actually. We sit down on Friday evenings and we discuss what are the lunches for the coming
Oh,
up,
like
for
right
the
on Friday.
upcoming year. And you know why? Because I go shopping on Saturday morning.
Oh, yeah.
So it makes it, I have to know
Planning.
what I'm going to buy before I go shopping.
I should revisit my packing. Clever.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
very clever. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's really
And
smart.
when we talk about school lunches, we also talk about the meals of the upcoming week, and then we decide the meals, and all the ingredients go on my shopping list, and then it's very easy for me to just go and
Yeah.
buy them on Saturday morning. Yeah.
Well, and for all my fitness friends out there, we talk about meal prep, and that's something that we talk about for ourselves. So why would we not do the same thing for the kids, right? And just to make ease for your week, because the morning rush is already a rush, and we've had a whole
it's
video
already
about
stressful.
that.
So yeah,
Sonia
we
will
want
put the
to
link
avoid
to that video in the book.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
So now it sounds like a perfect picture to put all the fruits, the veggies. Like, what about picky eaters? Like I know that my daughter and kids are like, so there are different type of picky eaters. That the very strong one will only eat mac and cheese and only eat pizza, and then they won't like. And sometimes some pizza like they have to remove the whatever. So they are like very different level of picky eaters.
Yes.
So my kids are like not so picky, but kind of like still picky a bit. So what's your tips for any picky eaters?
Oh, when it comes to school lunches, I avoid food experiments. I am not putting anything that my kids are not familiar with.
Right. That's
going to
not
lunch.
the time.
Because yeah, exactly. They're not going to eat it. Why put it there? Because it will come back anyway.
Yeah.
So I just keep it very simple. They choose what they want, they get it, as long as there is variety in all of their lunches. So let's say if they choose apple on Monday, they are not going to choose an apple on Tuesday, Wednesday, or so on. I want them to eat a variety of meals at school.
And then when you do that planning on Friday, they are involved.
Exactly. Involve the kid. Don't do any food experiments. And I usually avoid sugary drinks. Water is our main liquid that goes in school lunches. And it's just because I don't agree with empty calories, and usually they have dyes and other chemicals that the kids don't need that, and it would just make their learning process so much harder.
And what would be your advice if so it's the first time child going to school, and then not first time, but so the child is going to school for the first time, and then the mother or the parents know that it's very picky, like, and then they're trying to figure it out, like what to put, because if the kid's not eating apples, and I know some are not, and then some parents tell me that they're like struggling. They don't want grapes, they don't want banana, they just want like cookies. It's like,
well, some of them really, they have like 3 or 4 foods, and that's it. That they will eat. So
and usually that's what happens. Parents who come to me and want to work with me, they usually say, my kid has been eating only 5 or 10 foods, and I want my child to eat more than that. One thing that worked really well with both my kids was the polite bite, and we did that from when they were very little, and I stuck with it. I never changed it. They always have to try what I'm making, and it worked. For example, my son when he was 3 or 4, he would not touch sushi. He was like the worst food on the planet for him. And I'm like, you know what, I enjoy sushi, and I think you should too. So we did this polite bite for a long time, and now he loves it. He can't imagine not eating sushi. It's like the best food on the planet for him.
Sometimes they have to try many things to get used to it. And it's like, oh, finally,
exactly.
I like it.
And then when I tell him, when you're little, you used to hate sushi, he's like, what? No,
for me, it's the other way around. Like, they were used to eat so many things, and now like they remove so many things.
Yeah. And I think I like the phrase polite bite, because often, and from when we were kids, when I was a kid, it was a very big thing that you eat what's put in front of you no matter what. And then there was a whole turnaround on that about not forcing your kids to overeat, because then you're giving them too much, and then they're, so like there's all these things that occurred, and that sort of almost created this culture now where we have so many picky eaters. And it's really psychologically comes from a place of independence. They want to be independent, and they want to have control over their world, and so they're trying to to work around that. So some are very extreme because they really are digging in. So I do like the idea of polite bite versus just eat it or just try, you know? It's like, because then we get frustrated, right? And like, just try it, just try one bite, one bite. So people are doing that, but I like the phrasing of it. I think might make it a little bit more
than just pushing, and then like if you don't eat, you won't have that, and then punish them if they don't, right?
Yeah, and
So
when
it's
it
the
becomes
polite
the norm, when that's what we do in the family, and they don't know anything better than anything different, then obviously they're just going to have that polite bite all the time, and you are not going to encounter resistance when it comes to meal times.
Right.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Do you have suggestions for older children though? Because that's a great way to begin with your kids when they're little and introduce it, like you just said. If that's what you're always doing, then they will get used to it. But what about parents who didn't have that information and who are now suffering or struggling or frustrated with kids who are much older?
Yeah, I do have a tip, and actually it works for any children, no matter what the age, but it works well for older kids to get them into the kitchen. Just start helping them learn how to fend for themselves and how to be able to cook for themselves. And then once they are around foods, once they are around cutting them, smelling them, and even maybe tasting them, then they would be more willing to try new foods.
Yeah, you know what? There was Master Chef Kids or something. Do you remember that show?
Kind of
it was like TV show, and it was kids who were like master chefs, like they were amazing cooks. And I was talking to my girlfriend, and she was telling me a story about how she watched that show, and she was so blown away at the ability of these kids. And then it occurred to her that the only reason that her kids weren't able was because they were never allowed, you know. And so in her mind it was like they make a mess, it just causes more trouble, it causes more problems. But she decided that day to let her 11-year-old learn how to cook. And she let her make a mess, and she let her make mistakes, and she let her, and now her like 12-year-old, who is a year later, is making almost all the meals in the house, is trying new things that she never tried before. So moms, I know it's hard to let the kids run the kitchen, but it's so great. And both of my kids cook. My oldest cooks for us all the time. So I think, that's such a great tip. That's a really good tip, because it's control they're looking for. So this way you're handing the control to them.
And then they learn to have a good relationship with food, and they learn to make meals. And then when they leave the house, when they are on their own, they will be able they will be able to know how to cook, and they will also enjoy real food, homemade real food.
Otherwise, too quick, like I'm calling for pizza, I'm calling for a delivery, and then it's too quick.
And in the long term, it's going to make your life easier. In the beginning, it will be a little challenging, but in the long term,
and it's like everything. It requires time and practice. We are teaching our kids how to do math, how to tie their shoes, how to bike, how to play an instrument. The same with cooking. They need to practice the skill until they know how to do it good.
And there are quite a few kids cooking classes in Calgary where we are. I've seen quite a few.
Yes, and you've been offering some cooking classes
too. And I did some in the past. And always it's very important. Take your kid to any cooking class you find in your area.
Or set up a fun one with Orgali.
So tell us. So for any parents struggling with picky eater, what's your offer to help them? Do you have any things?
I have a 6-week program, and I work with parents who have picky eaters. And we start where the child is at, and then we make a plan together. If the child is old enough, we involve the child, but otherwise, if the child is young, then I work only with the parent or the parents, whoever wants to be involved. And at the end of our program, let's say we go from 5 foods to 10 or 20 foods, but it's a slow and easy approach, and it's very we make a plan with the parent, an easy plan to follow, and if they are consistent, it pays off.
Oh, nice.
And you know what, Sonia and I are always talking to you moms about help, right?
Yes.
So we tend to isolate, and sometimes we have to just reach out and ask for help. And when you have an expert available to you, take it.
Yes, totally. So tell us in the comments, did you enjoy these tips from Alina? And then you can ask her comments too. She's part of the group, so you can ask her any question, and then I'm sure she's going to be willing to.
I'll be very happy to reply. Yeah.
So ask all your questions about pig eaters, what to pick, what to do, what like help, whatever. Just share in the comment with us.
Yes, awesome. Thanks, you guys.
Thank you. Thank you,
Bye.
Alina.
Thank you. Thank you.